Hello, and welcome to Moon Whisper Sleep, where science meets slumber and the universe becomes a gentle lullaby. Maybe today has been a long day. Your mind feels tired, or perhaps you simply wish to let your thoughts drift freely into the night. Among distant planets, beneath the quiet moon, bathed in the soft glow of the Milky Way, within the fragile sound of a universe breathing. Wherever you are, from any corner of the world, no matter how weary your thoughts may be, tonight, this journey is for you. Let your breath slow down. Let your thoughts dissolve like stardust in the air. And let your body grow lighter, as if gravity itself were loosening its gentle hand, and you begin to float softly across the ocean of space. Tonight, we'll travel through the solar system, not at the speed of a spacecraft, but at the rhythm of peace. We'll listen to the winds of Neptune, the icy light of Saturn, and the echoes of galactic storms, where ancient light still wanders through the dark. We'll touch the stars, pass through rings of ice, and listen to tempests, humming like the timeless breath of the cosmos. Every orbit is a story of beauty, of silence, and of how light keeps moving forward, no matter how long the night may be. If you feel your heart beginning to settle, if this stillness brings a quiet smile in the dark, press, subscribe, and ring the little bell beside it, so that each night the universe can find its way back to you through the soft whispers of Moon Whisper Sleep. And perhaps your gentle touch will become a signal, guiding someone else who's awake in the middle of the night to discover this place, a space to rest, to learn, and to be lulled to sleep by the universe, one soul at a time. Now, take a deep breath. Release everything that still lingers from the day. Let the light sleep beside you tonight, and let us begin. Let your breath slow down. Inhale deeply and hold it for a moment. Then exhale softly. Each breath you take is a small orbit, a gentle motion within the quiet space of your own being. Imagine your body growing lighter, as if gravity had loosened its grip, and you begin to drift, not falling, not flying, just drifting. Space opens around you, vast, yet not frightening. It is a silence, without boundaries, where the only sound is the heartbeat of the universe, low, steady, and eternal. Tonight, we'll journey through the solar system, not at the speed of rockets, but at the rhythm of tranquility. We'll drift past immense worlds, where winds move faster than sound, and where light takes hours to arrive. We'll cross quiet planets, whose frozen surfaces can shatter metal, and moons that hide oceans deeper than any on Earth. This is not a flight, but a voyage of perception, where science and sleep meet at the intersection of curiosity and calm. The light you see in the night sky is the past. Each photon left its star millions of years ago, traveled through darkness, through cosmic dust, and arrived directly at your retina, only to whisper, "I am still here." When you gaze at the sky, you're not just watching stars, you're reading the oldest letters ever written by the universe. Everything you know, the water in your glass, the breath in your lungs, the shimmer in your eyes, was once part of a star that died long ago. The atoms within you, carbon, oxygen, iron, were all forged in distant supernova explosions. You are not merely living in the universe. You are part of it. The cosmos is learning to look back at itself through a small pair of eyes called human. Now, gently close your eyelids. Inhale and imagine that with every breath, you're drifting a little farther. Behind you, Earth grows smaller, a blue dot, floating in a sea of glittering black. Oceans shimmer with silver light. White clouds swirl like soft brushstrokes on the canvas of space. All that remains is a quiet, glowing speck. You've left home, but you are not alone, because somewhere, every grain of dust shares the same origin. You begin to pass the orbit of the moon, your first companion. Its surface, rough and calm, bears the scars of countless impacts, yet it still shines brightly in the dark, a promise of endurance. The moon always faces the same side toward us, which means, for billions of years, it has never revealed its other half. Thus, the moon is not just a celestial body, it's a metaphor for loyalty, a silence that needs no words, and its light, which is really sunlight, reflected, reminds us, even when we cannot shine on our own, we can still reflect light for someone else. Our journey continues. The sun, the center of it all, slowly appears in the distance, a giant sphere of plasma, brilliant and alive. But don't worry, we won't get too close, just near enough to feel its warmth gentle, like a smile. The sun doesn't only shine, it resonates. Scientists call this helioseismology, when the entire star vibrates with immense sound waves, their frequencies so low the human ear can never hear them. If we could listen, perhaps that sound would resemble the heartbeat of the universe itself, slow, warm, and ancient. Did you know, every second, the sun loses millions of tons of its mass, transformed into the light we see. That light leaves the star's core and takes hundreds of thousands of years to escape the dense plasma within, then only about 8 minutes to reach Earth, which means every sunrise you witness is light from the past. And perhaps sleep is much the same, a chance to look back at what has been and to let go of what has already drifted far away. We move away from the sun, drifting through regions where the solar wind begins to quiet. Yet magnetic fields still hum like waves. Here, every grain of dust, every ion, moves in rhythm with the breath of light. Some of them fall toward Earth, colliding with its atmosphere, creating auroras, those veils of green, violet, and pink light that dance around the poles. When high-energy particles from space meet oxygen and nitrogen, when you see the aurora, you are witnessing the sun's electronic letter, sent to Earth through wind and magnetism, a light not just to behold, but to remind us. The universe speaks, in color. Now, we are in the middle of space, where there is no up or down, no left or right, only the direction called drift. You feel as light as a breath, and perhaps, if you look closely, you'll see countless tiny specks of light surrounding you. Stardust. They shimmer slowly, as if time here no longer flows, but simply resonates. If your eyelids begin to close softly right now, don't resist it. It isn't sleepiness. It's the universe gently placing its hand upon your eyes, whispering, Rest now. I'll keep telling the story. And as you journey deeper, you'll see that every planet, every moon, every particle of dust in the solar system is telling the same story about the endless movement of serenity. If you feel your heart beginning to quiet, if this stillness brings a smile within the dark, press subscribe and ring the small bell beside it, so that each night the universe finds its way back to you through the soft whispers of Moon Whisper Sleep. And perhaps your gentle touch will become a signal guiding someone else, awake in the middle of the night, to find this place, a space to rest, to learn, and to be cradled to sleep by the universe, one soul at a time. Now, take a deep breath, release everything that still lingers from your day, and let the light sleep beside you tonight. Our journey begins with a moment of silence. The space before you is not darkness, but a stillness so deep that time itself seems to pause. Far away, faint blue lights spin slowly, giant planets breathing in the dark. They have no solid surface, only gas, wind, and pressure so immense that even steel would melt. Yet hidden within that violence lies a beauty that takes your breath away. Before you stands Neptune, the god of the sea. From this distance, sunlight is so weak that if you stood there, daytime would look like twilight. And yet, in that eternal twilight, winds roar at over 2,000 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound on Earth. A perfect paradox. The farther from the light, the more intense the motion becomes. Neptune emits more energy than it receives, as though it still holds the warmth of its birth, the lingering ember of a memory from the dawn of the cosmos. When you gaze upon that deep blue hue, imagine you are seeing persistence made into gas, a planet that continues to shine even when it receives almost nothing in return. Just like us, sometimes we too must shine in the darkness of our own making. Not far away, Uranus, the Sky King, rolls along its orbit, tilted nearly 98 degrees from the solar system's plane. No one knows for sure what caused it to fall. Perhaps a colossal collision billions of years ago. But even after being knocked over, Uranus still spins. Slowly, steadily, keeping its own rhythm, as if whispering, "Even when I am tilted, I keep going." Deep within that planet, temperatures and pressure are so extreme that carbon crystallizes into diamonds, which then rain through the pale blue atmosphere. Jewels that do not lie in mines, but fall naturally from clouds, glimmering with a cold, rare light. And if you listen closely enough, you might hear the faint crackle of crystals, like the sound of dreams, falling. Then, the light softens, and we arrive at Saturn, the Lord of Rings. From afar, it looks like a perfect whisper of geometry. Its rings thin, radiant, endless, circle it like a melody that never ends. Every particle of ice within them spins to its own rhythm, colliding, melting, and freezing again, like old memories blending into the present, creating a symphony written in ice and time. But did you know that beauty is fading? Scientists call this phenomenon ring rain, tiny ice particles slowly falling into Saturn's atmosphere, bit by bit, like notes dissolving at the end of a song. Someday, Saturn's rings will disappear. For in the universe, even perfection has an expiration. And yet, at its north pole lies something extraordinary. A massive hexagon, a storm whose winds have arranged themselves into perfect geometry, 6 equal sides, spinning endlessly for centuries. Within chaos, there is order. Within order, there is motion, a miraculous balance that needs no guidance. And perhaps that is how the universe teaches us about true peace. It is not stillness, but movement without fear. Across the orbit, you see Jupiter, the king of planets. Not because it is the largest, but because within its depths rage storms older than all human civilizations. The Great Red Spot, a colossal hurricane that has been swirling for over 350 years, so vast it could swallow 3 Earths, and yet it has never stopped. Lightning flashes through its clouds, radio waves hum from its poles, a distant cosmic call, and yet, at the storm's very center, where pressure reaches its peak, lies perfect silence. That is the paradox of the universe. Within the greatest chaos dwells the deepest calm, just as in your own mind. Even when thoughts spin endlessly, there is always a place deep inside that has never been disturbed. Jupiter has more than 90 moons, a vast family orbiting a radiant father. There is Io, a volcanic moon, erupting golden lava into the void. There is Europa, where beneath its thick crust of ice lies a salty ocean, perhaps holding more water than all of Earth's seas combined. And Ganymede, larger than Mercury, with its own magnetic field, a small planet within a great one. These worlds are alive, brimming with energy and mystery. They are not dead. They are simply waiting for someone to listen. Do you notice something? The farther you travel from Earth, the greater, the wilder, everything becomes. And yet, also quieter. The universe does not need to shout to exist. It only spins, hums, and shines. And within that stillness, you can hear the rhythm of your own heartbeat, beating in time with the turning of worlds. By now, you've passed 4 giant worlds, and each one holds a lesson. Neptune teaches perseverance in the dark. Uranus reminds us that even when we fall, we can keep turning. Saturn shows that beauty has an age, but fading does not mean vanishing. Jupiter reveals that within the fiercest storm, there is always a calm core. Heard with the intellect, these are lessons of science. Heard with the heart, they are lessons of meditation. Inhale deeply and exhale softly. You've traveled billions of kilometers, yet your mind remains here in the night, within your own breath. That is the wonder of the solar system. The farther we look outward, the more we understand ourselves. The more we learn about the planets, the more we see how we too orbit around what truly matters. And when you're ready, we'll continue. Past the rocky worlds, past the moons that hide oceans, and into the dark realms, where sunlight has never reached. But before we move on, let your mind rest for a moment. In this orbit, let your breathing match the rhythm of the stars, and let moon whispers sleep. Hold you gently in the soft arms of light. The journey is long, but tonight, you've arrived exactly where you were meant to be. We have left behind the gas giants, and now drift into the inner solar system. where sunlight grows warmer and stone begins to remember time. Here, there are no icy rings or supersonic winds, only scars, dust, and the silence of rock. Yet within that silence, the universe has carved its history. First, we visit Mars, the red planet, a place that once had rivers, lakes, and perhaps life itself. From afar, it gleams like a ruby lost in an endless desert. But up close, you see that its surface is coated with oxidized iron dust. The reason Mars glows red, like a wound that never heals. There are canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon, as wide as an entire continent, valles marineris, and mountains 3 times taller than Everest. Olympus Mons, a massive volcano that has slept for hundreds of millions of years. When the wind sweeps across its red sands, it carries no sound, because the air is so thin that even the wind becomes silence. On Mars, we learn that even when a planet has grown cold, there still remain traces of its former passion. Dry riverbeds, ancient craters, and volcanoes waiting to be awakened by memory. Next comes Venus, the sister of Earth, born of the same light, yet destined for a completely different fate. If Earth is a gentle melody, Venus is a drumbeat echoing violently inside a sealed room. Its atmosphere is so dense that sunlight cannot touch its surface, and its pressure is 90 times that of Earth's. A single rock would be crushed there, and every metal would melt in the furnace heat of over 460 degrees Celsius. Venus spins in the opposite direction of most planets. Its day is longer than its year, and its skies are wrapped in thick golden clouds of sulfuric acid. But hidden within that infernal storm is a lesson in imbalance. Just a little too much carbon dioxide, a little too little oceanic harmony, and a once beautiful world becomes a blazing kiln. Venus is Earth's mirror, reminding us that with only a single misstep, paradise can turn to ash. And yet, even scorched, Venus reflects the brightest light in our night sky, the morning star, the evening star, shining through the deepest darkness. Its light seems to say, "Even when I am burned, I will not stop shining." Now, we touch Earth, your home. From afar, it appears blue, round, and fragile. A single drop of water drifting through space. Up close, it is a symphony of life, with oceans, wind, forests, and laughter. Earth is the only known planet where water exists in all 3 forms, solid, liquid, and gas, and where life has evolved to look up and ask, "Where did I come from?" At its core lies molten iron, a beating heart that generates the magnetic field protecting the atmosphere from the sun's radiation. On its surface, tectonic plates shift and slide, keeping the crust of Earth forever restless. Every earthquake, every volcanic eruption is a breath of the planet, violent yet vital to sustaining life. Earth is not perfect, but it lives, and in this cold universe, that alone is a miracle. When you breathe, remember that the oxygen filling your lungs was made by the leaves of trees, and the carbon in your body was once part of a volcano or a stone that rolled across an ancient seabed. You don't just belong to this planet. You are this planet, and every breath you take is a thank you whispered to the ancient life that made this moment possible. Leaving Earth, we draw closer to the Sun, to Mercury, the smallest and swiftest planet. Mercury has no air to hold its warmth, so its days burn above 400 degrees Celsius, and its nights freeze to 180 degrees Celsius. Its surface is scarred with countless impact craters, silent stone notes, recording the dawn of the solar system. Though closest to the Sun, Mercury is not the hottest planet, because it lacks an atmosphere to trap heat. Another paradox in a universe built on paradoxes. At its poles, deep in craters that never see sunlight, scientists have found ancient ice, hidden in eternal shadow, a drop of hope amid the blaze. Mercury is the planet of contrasts, hot and cold, light and dark, day and night. It is unstable yet honest, for nothing can remain hidden long. Under the light of the Sunday, when you look back at the orbit you've traveled, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, you realize that each rocky world is a chapter in the ancient journal of the cosmos. Mercury is the opening chapter, written in dust and fire, where matter first learned to become a planet. Venus is the warning, a place where life could burn itself away. Earth is the miracle, where everything balanced just enough for consciousness to arise. Mars is the whisper of memory, a past that might once have dreamed. The farther we go, the more we understand. No planet is perfect, yet each holds a fragment of the universe's truth. They teach us that light exists not only to illuminate, but to remember. Darkness exists not only to conceal, but to protect. And motion, that is how everything continues to exist, even when we believe it has stopped. Now you've passed the 4 rocky worlds, and your journey leads you toward the edge, where ice begins to rule, where moons keep their secrets, where oceans hide beneath frozen crusts, and where, perhaps, life is sleeping, waiting to be awakened. But before we reach that place, pause for a moment in the stillness of space. Close your eyes. Feel your heartbeat, for it beats at the same frequency as billions of protons, fusing in the cores of stars. Inhale and exhale softly. Sleep, like the universe, never stops expanding. It only waits for you to drift into its rhythm. This is Moon Whisper Sleep, where the universe learns how to lull you to rest. Amid the infinite expanse of space, where every star seems to have fallen asleep, there is still one that quietly glows. It does not sleep, but it knows how to sing the solar system to dreams. With its gentle, radiant warmth, no explosions, no thunder, no firestorms, only a slow, steady energy that flows across billions of kilometers like the breath of the cosmos. That star is the sun, an ancient lantern hanging in the endless dark, where the heart of the universe still beats, slow but strong. At the core of that star, where temperatures reach tens of millions of degrees, and pressure blurs the line between matter and energy, billions of hydrogen nuclei collide in an eternal dance. Each time 2 nuclei merge into helium, a small part of their mass disappears, transformed into pure energy, as described by Einstein's famous equation, E等于 mc de ping pong. It sounds scientific, but that formula is nothing less than the miracle of our existence. Every second, the sun burns away millions of tons of itself, simply to keep the solar system warm. Despite its constant loss, it never screams, never flares with anger. It just glows quietly, like a gentle mother who never complains about her sacrifices. The miracle is that all of this happens in absolute silence. In the dense plasma, there is no air to carry sound, so not a single noise escapes. And yet, within the sun, everything is in motion, and everything hums. Pressure waves echo through the plasma, bouncing from the core to the surface and back again, creating vibrations so subtle, yet so precise. Scientists call this helioseismology, the study of how the sun sings its silent symphony. By listening to these voiceless notes, humans have discovered the star's inner structure, its core, its radiative zone, and its convective layer. There, plasma constantly rises and cools, then sinks again, like the breath of a giant being, inhaling and exhaling in the stillness of space. If we could hear this sound, it would not be music, but a low, steady pulse, gentle as the heartbeat of a sleeping universe. Around the sun lies the corona, a thin, shimmering halo, visible only during an eclipse. Strangely, this outermost layer is hundreds of times hotter than the surface below. It's one of astrophysics' most beautiful paradoxes. Why is the farthest layer the hottest? Scientists believe that magnetic waves and countless small bursts of energy, called microflares, transfer heat outward, creating this phenomenon. Though invisible to the eye, millions of these micro-eruptions occur each second, sending waves of energy into the solar wind. The corona is, therefore, not just hot gas, but a fiery robe of stillness, where every beam of light is a thread connecting energy and silence, intensity and grace. If the sun could be compared to a living body, its magnetic field would be its heartbeat, one that pulses roughly every 11 years. With each cycle, its magnetic poles, north and south, reverse places in a process called magnetic polarity reversal. When this happens, dark spots appear on its surface, sunspots, regions of intense magnetic tension, where temperatures dip slightly, creating dark patterns on a blazing star. These are not wounds, but signs of motion, like the brief pause between two beats of a heart. And when the sun's heart beats harder, when magnetic activity peaks, it releases massive streams of solar wind, sometimes accompanied by huge outbursts of plasma, called coronal mass ejections. When these charged particles reach Earth and collide with its magnetic field, the sky comes alive, with shimmering ribbons of light auroras. Auroras are not mere optical phenomena. They are the sun's gentle greeting to Earth. Each wave of green, violet, or pink that dances above the poles is a silent conversation between two magnetic hearts, one belonging to the sun, the other to our planet. When they meet, energy transforms into light, as if two musicians were playing an invisible duet. In that moment, space itself seems to breathe, and the universe, no matter how cold, reveals its quiet pulse of life. Since its birth, The sun has burned for over 4 billion years and still holds enough fuel to shine for 5 billion more. It is not a flame of destruction, but a testament to endurance. In silence, every atom fuses, every photon is born, and each begins a journey lasting tens of thousands of years to escape the dense plasma and reach the surface. When that light finally touches your skin, it is not the present, it is memory. A photon may have left the sun before humankind ever learned to write, only to arrive on Earth today in the final 8 minutes of a voyage across millennia. If the sun could sing, its song would not be heard by ears. It would be too low, too slow, traveling only through its own body. Pressure waves ripple through its dense plasma, bouncing from the core outward, then back again, creating continuous, harmonious vibrations. Scientists call this again heliosysmology, the science of the sun's soundless song. By studying these oscillations, we can peer beyond the blinding light and understand its hidden architecture, the core, the radiative zone, and the convective region, where hot and cold gases rise and sink like the slow breathing of a colossal living being. Surrounding it, the corona shines, a faint ring visible only during eclipses. What's astonishing is that this distant outer layer is hundreds of times hotter than the surface, reaching millions of degrees. For centuries, this puzzled scientists. Why should the outermost region, farthest from the core's energy, be hotter than what lies within? Now, many believe it's because magnetic waves and tiny bursts of energy carry heat outward like high-frequency notes echoing through space. Though invisible to us, millions of these minute flares happen every second, feeding that luminous robe. Thus, the sun is like a musician playing an endless symphony of magnetism and plasma, a song that never ends. All those fluctuations follow a distinct rhythm, the sun's 11-year cycle. About every 11 years, its magnetic poles reverse. North becomes south, and south becomes north. During that process, dark spots appear across the sun's surface. Regions where magnetic fields are so concentrated that the temperature slightly drops, forming dark marks amid a sea of fire. But don't mistake them for signs of decay. In truth, this is when the sun is tuning its strings for a new phase of energy. When its magnetism reaches its peak, solar winds grow stronger, and at times, colossal eruptions hurl billions of tons of plasma into space. When those particles collide with Earth's magnetic shield, they paint the sky with shimmering auroras, ribbons of green, violet, and pink light that sway like the universe's thin silk curtains. Every aurora on Earth is a whisper from the Sunday. Across hundreds of millions of kilometers, an invisible thread connects the two worlds. Magnetic field, touching magnetic field, light brushing against atmosphere. And for a brief moment, the universe seems to breathe in unison, whether in day or night. The sun continues to sing. When it slips behind Earth, we merely step out of its light. But its radiation keeps streaming outward, washing over Mars, glistening on Saturn's icy rings, and stirring the sleeping oceans beneath the ice of Europa and Enceladus. Sunlight doesn't just illuminate space, it is the thread binding all worlds together so that every planet, no matter how far, still feels a trace of warmth, a hint of life. If you lie still, close your eyes, and take a deep breath, you might imagine yourself drifting within that orbit. No ship, no speed required, just the faint vibration of space itself, where every photon that passes carries warmth and every wave is a heartbeat. The sun doesn't merely burn, it breathes, it resonates, and in every particle of light, it records the story of billions of years of evolution. There are no explosions, no blinding sounds, only a silent song, low, deep, spreading across the solar system, touching even the smallest grains of dust. And perhaps, as you fall asleep, within the warmth resting on your skin, you can still feel an echo of that melody, the song of a star singing through light. And then, when you look up into the blue daylight sky, the light touching your eyes is old. It left the sun more than 8 minutes ago, but to reach the surface from where it was born, that photon may have spent tens of thousands of years passing through dense layers of plasma. Every photon is an ancient traveler carrying the stories of the star's heart. When it touches your skin, you are not just bathed in sunlight. You are warmed by the memory of the cosmos. Within even the faintest warmth is a journey of time, of energy, of patience that has lasted millennia. The sun never truly sets, but when night comes, it feels as if its light is resting. In truth, it only shifts direction, drifting along its orbit to illuminate other worlds. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and glimmering across the frozen moons that sleep in silence. Light never disappears. It simply continues the story, somewhere else, in another form. And as that happens, here on Earth, we too fall into our own sleep, cradled by the very energy the sun has sent us. From millions of kilometers away, the sun, with all its immense power, is not violent. It is balance. Between heat and stillness, eruption and calm, life and rest. It is not merely a star. It is the heart of the solar system, the pulse that keeps everything in motion, the proof that life in the universe can be sustained not through noise, but through patience. So, if you ever look up at the sky and feel small, remember, even in the deepest night, you are still living within the sun's warmth. Every ray that reaches you has traveled for thousands of years, endured millions of collisions, and carries billions of whispered messages from fusing atoms far away. And in that silence, if you listen deeply enough, you may hear something not with your ears, but with the stillness inside you, a low, steady, infinite sound, the sound of the sun singing. In the distant darkness of the solar system, where sunlight fades to a whisper, there still exist mysterious worlds slowly turning. Not bright, grand planets, but frozen moons, orbiting their giant mothers, like children asleep in a cosmic cradle. Beneath their seemingly lifeless ice, oceans are breathing, water still moves, energy still flows, and perhaps life itself waits there for someone to call its name. These moons are the hidden treasures of the universe, ocean worlds without sunlight, yet with warm hearts. In the frozen darkness of 180 degrees Celsius, they do not shine, but within them, everything stirs. The water there does not evaporate, nor does it freeze solid. It moves gently, like breathing in the night, sustained by the rhythmic pull and release of gravity from their parent planets. Each time a moon is drawn closer, its core compresses, and when it drifts away, it expands, generating heat. Like a slow-beating heart, tidal forces have kept these oceans warm, liquid, and alive for billions of years. Europa, the breath beneath the ice. Among them, Europa, the moon of Jupiter, is one of the most wondrous. Its entire surface is covered in a thick crust of ice, tens of kilometers deep, smooth and white, reflecting faint sunlight like a mirror. Beneath that frozen skin, scientists believe lies a vast saltwater ocean, twice as deep as all of Earth's oceans combined. The evidence comes from the long, winding fractures, crisscrossing its surface, like cracks in frozen glass. These lines are not just scars. They move, slide over one another, sometimes sealing shut, sometimes splitting open. A kind of ice tectonics, mirroring the shifting crust of Earth. Each time Europa passes close to Jupiter, its immense gravity stretches and squeezes the moon, creating friction and heat. That heat prevents the ocean below from ever fully freezing. If someone were listening within that ocean, they might hear the sounds of ice cracking, water rising, and the electrical hum of Jupiter's ions sliding through the crust. A symphony without light, where life itself may be learning to sing its first song. Ganymede, the moon with its own magnetic field. Farther out lies Ganymede, the largest moon in the entire solar system, even bigger than Mercury. It is the only moon known to have its own magnetic field, like a true planet. This suggests that deep within Ganymede lies a molten metallic core and perhaps a layered oceanic system. Ice, water, ice, water, ice, stacked like the tiers of a great frozen cake. Beneath its outermost crust, slow rivers of salt water may flow, warmed by tidal friction and the faint heat of its core. Ganymede's magnetic field interacts with Jupiter's, creating faint bands of light near its poles, cold auroras, not bright like Earth's, but dim blue halos, drifting through darkness like the eyes of a sleeping giant, dreaming in space. Callisto, ancient memory and deep water. Still farther away lies Callisto, an old, quiet world. Its surface has remained unchanged for billions of years, a landscape covered in craters, like an ancient journal from the time the solar system was born. But don't let its age deceive you. Data from the Galileo spacecraft once detected variations in magnetic readings as it passed over Callisto, a sign that beneath its icy rock crust there may be a deep, salty ocean capable of conducting electricity. Callisto has no tectonics, no great geological activity, yet it may silently cradle a subterranean Sea, still as the breath of someone long asleep, but still alive. In the distant region, where the sun is only a faint pale dot, Callisto holds its secret. An ocean without waves, without light, but never dear Enceladus, the fountain of Saturn, If Europa makes humanity dream, then Enceladus, Saturn's small moon, leaves us in awe. Barely 500 kilometers across, Enceladus is so tiny that it should be frozen solid and lifeless. Yet at its south pole, long fissures known as tiger stripes erupt with plumes of water vapor, salt, and organic molecules, like fountains in the dark. The Cassini spacecraft once flew through those jets and detected traces of hydrogen, methane, and silica particles, evidence suggesting that beneath the thick ice crust there may be hydrothermal vents, similar to those found at Earth's ocean floors where life once began. Water, heat, and organic compounds, the three fundamental ingredients for life, are all present here. Perhaps, beneath that ice, ancient microorganisms drift around the vents, living in a world of their own, a world without sunlight, sustained only by the energy of rock and water. As Cassini passed through, tiny ice grains sparkled in the distant sunlight, then fell back to the surface like an upward rain. In that moment, Enceladus was no longer just a moon. It was the breath of Saturn, proof that even where death seems absolute, life still finds a way. Titan, the world of methane, rivers and lakes. And finally, there is Titan, Saturn's largest moon, a world utterly unlike any other. Titan has a dense atmosphere, composed mostly of nitrogen, resembling early Earth. Its surface holds rivers, lakes, and seas, but they are not made of water. They are composed of liquid methane and ethane. At 180 degrees Celsius, these gases become liquid, creating a methane cycle much like Earth's water cycle. Evaporation, condensation, rain, flowing rivers, returning to the lakes. Beneath Titan's icy crust, scientists believe there is still a true subsurface ocean, rich in ammonia, preventing the water from freezing entirely. Titan has rain, wind, rivers, mountains, and methane lightning. An Earth reflected in a frozen mirror, a cold and distant echo of our own planet. And if you stood on Titan, looking up at its hazy orange sky, you would see Saturn hanging above, dozens of times larger than our moon. Dim light, filtered through methane mist, glides gently across its still lakes, and in that absolute silence, you might hear the sound of your own heartbeat, blending with the slow rotation of the universe. These worlds, Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, Enceladus, Titan, may not hold life as we know it, but they carry the answers to the question humanity has always asked. Are we alone in the universe? In the frozen dark, where light cannot reach, water still flows, energy still spreads, and perhaps there is still the breath of another form of life, quiet and enduring as the cosmos itself. Maybe, as you close your eyes tonight and listen to this story, a single photon is falling onto a methane lake on Titan, or a droplet of salty water is slipping through a crack on Europa, carrying the secret of billions of years of evolution. They all whisper the same truth. The universe is not empty. It is alive, breathing, and waiting to be heard. From the Kuiper Belt to the Oort cloud, if the sun is the heart and the planets are its beats, then the Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud are its final breath, where the solar system slowly dissolves into the infinite dark. Out there, sunlight is too weak to warm, the solar wind too faint to stir, and temperatures drop near absolute zero. Yet even at that frontier, the universe is not still. It preserves the history of creation within solitary blocks of ice, drifting silently, waiting to be awakened after millions of years. Beyond Neptune's orbit lies the Kuiper Belt, a vast region filled with billions of small bodies, made mostly of water ice, methane, ammonia, and rocky dust. It is often called the ancient archive of the solar system, a place where time has nearly stopped. The celestial bodies here were born over 4 billion years ago, during the age of chaos, and have changed little since. They are the leftover bricks from the sun's construction, fragments of memory, telling the story of how the universe once sculpted planets. From ice and dust, Pluto, the most famous dwarf planet, once considered the 9th planet, is one of the Kuiper Belt's residents. Only 1/6 the size of Earth, it has a heart of frozen nitrogen, literally. Images sent back by New Horizons in 2015 revealed that Pluto's surface is far from dead. There are ice mountains as tall as the Himalayas, plains of flowing nitrogen, and signs of gentle geological activity. Even in its distant frozen world, energy still lingers, like a small candle burning steadily in the endless night of space. Beside Pluto drift Eris, Haumea, and Makemake, the other dwarf planets of the Kuiper Belt. Eris reflects sunlight, almost perfectly brighter than Pluto, like a frozen mirror. Haumea spins so rapidly that it's been stretched into an elliptical shape, a stone whirling gracefully in the dark. And Makemake is covered in a crust of frozen methane, glittering like crystal. Each of them is small, lonely, yet every world carries a fragment of the solar system's story. When we look at them, we see clearly the universe does not create perfection. It creates diversity, and that is its true beauty. Sometimes, objects within the Kuiper Belt move in strange ways. A slight collision, an invisible tug, and they drift off course. Some of them fall inward, slowly making their way toward the sun, becoming short-period comets. Whenever these comets approach the sun, their icy shells vaporize, unfolding into long, shimmering tails of light. Each glowing arc is an ancient message, sent from the frozen edge, telling of the dawn of the planetary system we live in. Far beyond, past the outer rim of the Kuiper Belt, lies a realm no human has ever reached, a place where even sunlight fades to a faint breath. There, scientists believe, surrounding the entire solar system, is a vast, spherical structure, the Oort cloud. It is a cosmic shell of ice, home to billions of small bodies, frozen stones slumbering in darkness for millions, even billions of years. The Oort cloud is not a ring, but an immense sphere, a misty halo at the solar system's edge, stretching halfway to the nearest stars. The Oort cloud is the birthplace of long-period comets, rare visitors that grace Earth's skies once every few thousand years. Each time a wandering star passes nearby, or the gravitational pull of giant planets shifts, a few of those icy fragments are stirred awake. They leave their cradle, falling inward, beginning a journey of millions of years toward the Sunday. As they approach, the ice melts, vapor rises, and they become radiant streaks that slice across the night sky. Halley's Comet is one of them, a traveler that returns every 76 years, reminding us that even in the deepest darkness, there are still returns. The Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud are the edges of memory, where the solar system keeps its oldest, most primitive things. There is no sound, no wind, no light, but there are traces of origin, grains of ice holding water, methane, ammonia, and organic molecules, the rough bricks that once helped build life on Earth. Perhaps, when comets struck Earth billions of years ago, they brought with them those first molecules of life, seeding the blue oceans we now call home. And if you imagine deeply enough, you might sense the slow turning of that distant frontier. Chunks of ice, drifting, colliding, falling into orbit, then breaking away. Each fragment, like a grain of memory, drifting down the river of time. Some have slept for billions of years. Others, perhaps tomorrow, will be awakened, beginning their long voyage back toward the light. A journey whose purpose they may never know. Out there, time loses its meaning. There is no day or night, no years or centuries. Only slow, patient motion and endless stillness. If anyone ever asks, can the universe wait? The Oort cloud is the answer. It has waited for billions of years, just so a single piece of ice might one day find its way home, sweep past Earth on a winter night, and make someone look up for 1 second and smile. The Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud are not bright, not loud, yet they are both the beginning and the ending of all motion. They are the borders of light, the final breath of the solar system, where energy dissolves into silence and silence becomes energy. If you are hearing these words in the dark, imagine that beyond the sky above you, billions of icy bodies are still drifting. They are not lonely. They are simply waiting for their turn, for an invisible touch, to guide them back toward the sun, to shine once more. And maybe, one day, when you open your eyes and look up, a streak of light will cross the sky. You won't have time to make a wish, but that streak will have completed a journey of millions of years just to arrive at that exact moment. The moment when you looked up. If you could see the entire solar system from above, you would realize it is not chaotic at all. Every planet, every moon, every fragment of rock moves along a perfect curve, as if guided by an invisible hand. There are no random crashes, no wild chases, only orbits playing together in a grand geometric symphony where time is the rhythm and space is the instrument. The planets do not move in perfect circles, but in elliptical paths, first described by Johannes Kepler, the man who looked at the sky and discovered that every motion in the universe contains deviation yet remains harmonious. Each planet has a perihelion, its closest point to the sun, and an aphelion, its farthest. Between those 2 points, its speed changes, faster when near the light, slower when far away. Like the breathing rhythm of the cosmos, it is within this imperfection that the universe finds balance. If orbits were perfectly circular, everything would tick like a clock. But because they are elliptical, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, motion becomes music, not mechanics. Look at Pluto and Neptune. On the map, their orbits cross as if they could collide at any time, and yet, in reality, they never meet. The reason lies in a subtle rule that Kepler himself never lived to see, a principle called resonance. Pluto and Neptune are locked together in a 3-to-2 resonance, meaning that for every 3 orbits Neptune makes around the Sun, Pluto completes exactly 2. When one of them reaches its closest point, the other is always at its farthest. Like 2 dancers circling the same center, they move in perfect coordination, always avoiding each other without ever needing to look. A natural synchronization, so perfect, it requires no awareness. Such resonance is not rare. Between planets, between moons, among millions of small celestial bodies. These ratios of resonance form the invisible threads that connect them all. Through these threads, the solar system has remained stable for billions of years. No collisions, no chaos, only a silent choreography performed in a space with no music. But if you know how to listen, you can feel the rhythm. Every planet sings through its motion. Mercury vibrates quickly and briefly like a heartbeat. Jupiter moves with deep, heavy tones, the drumbeat beneath the melody. Saturn, encircled by its thin, icy rings, whispers with a sound as delicate as breath passing through glass. If we could translate those movements into sound waves, the solar system would become a living symphony, the sound of gravity and time. And yet, within that cosmic music, nothing is truly permanent. Every orbit changes slightly with each cycle. Gravitational forces pull, push, tilt, and sway. The planets drift slowly outward from the Sun, a little more each million years. Even Earth is not fixed. It moves away from the Sun by about 1.5 centimeters per year, roughly the rate at which your fingernails grow. And it's not just the planets. Even the air we breathe is gradually flowing into space. At the uppermost edge of the atmosphere, light atoms of hydrogen and helium leak away, escaping Earth's gravity, forever little by little. Every second, hundreds of tons of matter leave our planet, disappearing into the dark. And yet, that very loss is what keeps the universe alive, for it is not a closed machine, but an open current, where everything moves, transforms, and renews, without ever truly ending. This change does not break order. It is the essence of order. Just as a heartbeat cannot be still, the universe must also oscillate to remain alive. If one day everything stopped moving, then time itself would halt, and life would vanish. Imagine a small body, an asteroid that travels with Earth, a rock called Kruthny, sharing our orbit around the Sunday. It doesn't fly directly ahead or behind us, but moves along a horseshoe-shaped path. From the Sun's perspective, it seems to chase Earth, then turns away just before meeting, loops around, and comes back again. Their orbits intertwine like an endless dance. They never collide, because every time they draw near, their orbits self-correct, gravity acting like a skilled dancer, keeping the perfect distance, close enough to feel one another's presence. Motion in the universe is not chaos. It is self-regulation. When one planet wavers, the others respond with their own pull, forming a web of balance, like ripples on a pond, where every wave sends a reply to its neighbor and the entire surface trembles in harmony. That is why the solar system exists. Not because its worlds are still, but because they all move in rhythm. In the universe, everything knows how to give way. Mars may move faster, but it never intrudes upon Earth's path. Jupiter, massive and powerful, acts as a guardian, drawing in asteroids that might otherwise strike the inner planets. And our moon, though small, keeps Earth's axis steady, allowing the seasons and harvests to flow in their eternal cycle. It all seems choreographed, yet no one is choreographing. It is simply nature finding its balance. At times, the planets align, a phenomenon humans call planetary conjunction. Such moments often inspire awe, some believing that cosmic events or disasters will follow. But in truth, even in perfect alignment, their combined gravitational pull is weaker than the moon's influence on Earth's tides. No catastrophe follows, only beauty. The beauty of synchronization, a fleeting instant, when distant worlds move together along the same invisible line. If there were ever a definition of harmony, the universe itself would be it. A music where every note knows its place. A geometry where every curve has its purpose. And within that precision, there remains just enough randomness, enough to create life and enough to keep us forever amazed. ChatGPT Denoy, when you look up at the night sky, remember nothing you see there is still. The planets are spinning, the moons are drifting, the dust is gliding along invisible curves. Even you, lying still, are traveling around the sun at over 100,000 kilometers per hour. All of us are part of this great symphony of motion, not watching from outside, but moving within it every second of our lives. Perhaps the most beautiful thing in the universe is not light, but motion itself, because within motion there is time. Within time there is change, and within change there is life. When we gaze at the sky, we tend to think of great planets, blazing suns, and colossal stars, but in truth, it is the smaller fragments that tell us the universe's most delicate stories. In the vastness of space, it is not only stars that shine, but stones, grains of ice, and shards of rock, each learning to connect, to hold together, and to form fragile, magnificent creations, rings, tiny moons, and living debris fields, dancing around their planets. If you've ever seen an image of Saturn, you might realize, sometimes the beauty of a world is not in itself, but in what orbits around it. Saturn's rings, thin as a blade, yet stretching over 280,000 kilometers, are among the most delicate and mesmerizing structures in the universe. Each grain of ice, whether the size of a sand speck or a mountain of stone, obeys the strict rhythm of gravity. They do not stand still, nor do they clash chaotically. They flow together like a frozen river, circling endlessly around the planet. But the most wondrous truth is this: rings are not eternal. They do not last forever. In the eyes of cosmic time, those dazzling rings are but a moment, a temporary sculpture, Scientists believe that in just a few 100 million years, the ice and rock within Saturn's rings will slowly fall inward, melting into the planet's atmosphere, leaving behind a bare and quiet world. The rings of Saturn, a beauty that has captivated humankind, are in fact a brief season of bloom in the universe, flowering between frost and darkness. What keeps the rings together for so long are the shepherd moons, tiny satellites that orbit near the inner or outer edges of the rings, using their gravity to maintain order among billions of icy particles. Whenever a fragment drifts too far, the little moon's pull brings it back, a silent guardian keeping the dance intact. Like gatekeepers who never sleep, these moons prevent the rings from unraveling, holding them gently in place, as if they were soft arms embracing the planet. Around Saturn, two such moons, Pandora and Prometheus, play this role, moving like twin musicians, keeping Saturn's F ring from scattering. Even around Uranus and Neptune, where sunlight is too faint for ice to sparkle, thin rings still endure. They are not bright, but they remind us that, even in darkness, gravity still binds. Perhaps it is gravity, not light, that is the true language of friendship in the universe. And it's not only rings. Across the vast emptiness, countless asteroids, lonely rocks circling the sun, also find companions. Many have one or two tiny moons of their own, boulders just a few 100 meters wide, orbiting like loyal friends. Some asteroids even orbit each other, as if holding hands, bound by the faintest gravitational touch. Astronomers call them rubble piles, clusters of stones held together by delicate gravity. If they spin too fast, or are nudged by sunlight, through the Yorp effect, a subtle torque from absorbed and reflected solar light, they can drift apart, and sometimes, later, reunite to form a new pair. In a way, gravity is the oldest love in the universe. It does not distinguish between big and small, strong and weak. It only asks that things come close enough, and they will draw together. Even when they drift apart, they still feel each other's pull, an invisible thread that never breaks. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, millions of fragments float, but none are truly alone. When a larger rock passes, it carries with it dozens of smaller pieces, like a flock of cosmic birds, following the rhythm of the strongest. Sometimes, two asteroids collide, shattering into thousands of pieces. And yet, those fragments often find each other again, gathering, forming new rocks, reborn from their own destruction. In the universe, even brokenness knows how to reunite. These fragments, these stones that make friends, are not remnants of the past. They are seeds of the future. Billions of years ago, it was precisely such collisions that gave birth to Earth, the Moon, and countless other worlds. And perhaps, right now, within Saturn's icy rings, or in a distant cloud of dust around a faraway star, a new planet is slowly forming, born from tiny grains that simply refuse to fall apart. The more we understand them, the more we realize the universe is not lonely. Everything, no matter how small, has the instinct to find, to hold, to stay. not with words, but with gravity, with motion, with patience. A single rock may drift for billions of years through space, but the moment it touches another, it slows, begins to orbit, and together they enter an eternal dance. When you think of gravity, don't think of it merely as a force of attraction. Think of it as the oldest emotion of the cosmos. It is what makes planets circle the sun, what keeps the moon near Earth, what holds the icy rings in place, and what ensures everything in the universe always finds its way back to one another. If there is a metaphor for friendship, it is not in words, but in the way two tiny bodies in space still manage to find each other amid infinity. No light, no sound, just a faint, honest pull that keeps them from drifting too far apart. Perhaps, as you sleep and the universe keeps turning, billions of small stones are still flying together in a slow, unseen waltz. Some will fall, some will shatter, but new pairs will also be born, and over billions of years, those fragments may become moons, or planets, or simply a delicate halo around some distant world. A quiet reminder that even in ruin, there is always connection. Therefore, do not be afraid when you see things fall apart. In the universe, breaking is a way to reunite. Separation is a way to return. And every grain of dust, no matter how small, is on its own journey to find a companion. There are eyes that do not belong to living creatures, yet they see with the patience of all humankind. They do not blink, do not tire, do not sleep. They fly silently through the darkness, between the stars, carrying a single question humanity has always asked: where are we in this universe? The spacecraft, telescopes, and detectors, they are Earth's artificial eyes, built to extend our vision beyond the atmosphere, beyond what human sight can reach. They are not merely instruments of science, they are mechanical dreams, telling stories through light. Parker's solar probe, touching the fire, closest to the sun, where heat could incinerate everything, a small spacecraft is swimming through the solar wind. The Parker Solar Probe, launched in 2018, it became the first messenger of humankind to dare to touch the Sunday. It did not literally touch it, but it flew through the corona, the roiling plasma surrounding the star, where temperatures reach into the millions of degrees. To survive, Parker is protected by a carbon shield, only a few centimeters thick, yet capable of withstanding over 1,300 degrees Celsius. Behind that barrier, its delicate instruments continue to function, recording every particle, every gust, every magnetic wave, passing through the solar wind. With each orbit, Parker moves closer, each loop lower than the last. Like a brave moth, not seeking death, but seeking understanding. It is helping us answer questions that have baffled scientists for centuries. Why is the solar corona hotter than the sun's surface? Why does the solar wind never cease? And how does energy move through space when there is no air to carry it? Each time Parker skims through that plasma, the data it sends back are not just numbers. They are notes of physics, recordings of the sun's wind, transformed into audible sound. Listening to them, you can feel as if the sun is breathing, uneven, quiet, ancient. like the heartbeat of a sleeping god. Hubble, the eye suspended in time, farther from the sun, but closer to the human heart, floats the Hubble Space Telescope, a silent mirror in Earth's orbit, watching the universe unfold. Since 1990, Hubble has expanded humanity's sky in the simplest way possible. It does not see with eyes, but with patience. Unaffected by atmospheric blur, Hubble captures light from galaxies, tens of billions of light-years away. Each photograph is a slice of time, light that began its journey long before Earth existed, traveling for billions of years through space, only to land upon Hubble's mirror in a single, silent second. The images it sends, the pillars of creation in the Eagle Nebula, spiral galaxies, supernova explosions, are not just pictures, they are the memories of the cosmos. Through them, we do not merely see stars, we see the history of light. Each orbit, Hubble passes through both day and night, constantly observing, recording, sending home tiny fragments that remind us the universe is not only vast, it is deep in the dimension of time itself. Voyager, the spacecraft beyond the light. Farther still, beyond every planet, beyond every frontier humankind has ever drawn, sail the twin Voyager probes. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Launched in 1977, over 4 decades ago, when there was no internet, and people still watched the stars through small telescopes. And yet, even now, they are still flying, still alive, and have both left the solar system. Voyager 1 is now the most distant human-made object in existence. It has crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind ends, and interstellar space begins. There, it no longer hears the hum of solar particles, but instead, the faint whisper of the true cosmos, a realm of cold, quiet density, so still it almost feels haunted. Each Voyager carries a remarkable gift, the Golden Record, a copper disc engraved with the sounds of Earth, rain, thunder, children's laughter, wind over forests, and greetings in 55 languages. If someone, somewhere among the stars, should ever find it, they will know that, around a small golden sun, there once lived a species that remembered and loved. Voyager is not just a scientific mission, it is poetry, written in metal, data, and solitude. A ship with no crew, yet carrying the soul of humanity, our curiosity, our fear, and our hope that we are not alone. After Hubble came the James Webb Space Telescope, larger, more intricate, and capable of seeing infrared light, the most ancient glow of the universe. It peers not only farther, but backward in time, to the dawn when the first stars were born. James Webb can detect planets forming around distant suns, analyze their atmospheres, and search for traces of water, methane, or even oxygen. If, one day, we discover life beyond Earth, it may come from this very gaze. But what truly sets James Webb apart is not only its technology, but the way it sees. It looks through not one circular mirror, but 18 gold hexagonal panels joined like a metallic flower blooming in space. And each time it turns toward a distant star, the reflected light glows on its petals, like a flower of light, opening in perfect silence. From Parker near the Sun, to Hubble, orbiting Earth, to Voyager, drifting among the stars. Each spacecraft is a fragment of human consciousness, launched into the cosmos. They see for us, listen for us, feel for us, and through them, we prove that humanity, though small, fragile, and brief within the universe's history, can still touch infinity. Not with hands, but with sight. Not with muscle, but with curiosity. When Voyager left the solar system, it turned back once and took a now famous photograph, the pale blue dot. From 6 billion kilometers away, Earth appeared as a single pale speck, suspended in a sunbeam. Astronomer Carl Sagan said, "That's home." On that mote of dust is everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone who ever lived. And as you hear these words, dozens of other spacecraft are still flying, new horizons, sailing toward more distant stars after Pluto, Juno, studying Jupiter's vast storms, and thousands of tiny satellites orbiting Earth, like technological fireflies shimmering in the dark. No one knows when Voyager will go silent, or if anyone will ever hear its golden record. But perhaps that doesn't matter. What matters is that we have sent our gaze outward, and that gaze is still seeing, still looking into infinity, where every photon is a question yet unanswered. Perhaps, as you sleep, while your heartbeat slows and your breath joins the rhythm of the night, Parker is still gliding through plasma, Hubble is still capturing a distant galaxy, and Voyager is still drifting, very slowly but never stopping. Because the universe never sleeps, and the eyes of humankind never close. In this vast universe, what we know is so little. What we don't know is so immense that we could spend 1,000 lifetimes seeking and still not reach the end. And perhaps that is why the universe feels so gentle, because it never closes, but always remains open, inviting our imagination to keep going. From faint data at the edge of the solar system, astronomers discovered something mysterious. Many distant Kuiper Belt objects share an oddly aligned tilt, as if drawn by an unseen hand. Thus arose the hypothesis of Planet 9, the ninth planet. Somewhere, perhaps hundreds of billions of kilometers away, there may exist a massive frozen world orbiting quietly on a path so far that it takes tens of thousands of years to complete a single revolution. If it exists, it could be 5 to 10 times the size of Earth, yet far too faint to be seen with current telescopes. We have never seen it, never heard its signal, but the strange pattern of those distant orbits seems to whisper that something is out there, a silent world, never touched by sunlight, still drifting slowly, steadily, through the vast dark. A planet in hiding, like a dream of the universe not yet awakened. Not every moon is born with its planet. Some, like Triton, Neptune's largest satellite, are captured children. Triton's orbit is so unusual that it is almost retrograde to its planet's rotation. Scientists believe that long ago, Triton was a wandering dwarf planet in the Kuiper Belt, until it was seized by Neptune's immense gravity. When that happened, Triton may have collided with or melted away the atmospheres of Neptune's older moons, and thus became an uninvited companion, yet one that would remain forever. On Triton's surface, plumes of nitrogen gas have been detected rising from the ice, showing that beneath that frozen crust, there may still be heat and motion, a kidnapped moon, and yet one that knows how to breathe. Perhaps this is how the universe teaches us that even when drawn into a strange orbit, a world can still find its own rhythm of life. Sometimes, we don't need to leave Earth to learn what happens elsewhere, because pieces of other worlds come to us. In the cold deserts of Antarctica, scientists have found strange stones. They resemble no rocks found on Earth. Inside them are bubbles of gas identical to Mars's atmosphere. These are Martian meteorites fragments blasted off the red planet's surface when another meteor struck it, then wandering through space for millions of years before falling to Earth. They are natural sample bottles, sent long before humanity knew how to launch probes. Each stone is like an ancient letter, carrying a message from another planet, saying there were once winds, mountains, rivers, perhaps even life. Now, as NASA and ESA prepare to bring actual Martian soil back to Earth, we realize the universe did this before us, millions of years ago. Even when you look out the window, you can see a mystery unfolding right here on Earth. Every time the tides rise and fall, every wave retreats to the sea. It's a sign that the moon is pulling on us. The moon's gravity draws water toward it, creating two bulges in the oceans. One on the opposite side, too, due to inertia. But here is the wonder. Because Earth rotates faster, those bulges don't line up exactly. They are slightly offset. That tiny offset lets Earth transfer some of its rotational energy to the moon, pushing it a little farther away each year. The moon is receding from us at about 3.8 centimeters per year, nearly the rate at which a fingernail grows. This means that hundreds of millions of years from now, the moon will be so distant that total solar eclipses will no longer occur, and children of the future will see only the sun and moon in tandem, never touching. But in the present, that very tug makes Earth's day grow longer, second by second. The universe is slowing down not from weariness, but because it is learning to listen to itself. Every mystery in the universe is a question without an answer, and it is those very questions that keep us searching. Perhaps one day, we will see Planet 9, find life in Europa's hidden ocean, touch the atmosphere of a distant world, or hear the true wind of Triton. But perhaps we never will, and perhaps that is good, for it is the unknown that keeps us looking up, keeps us dreaming, and keeps us asking. Science is the light, but dreaming is the wind. A wind that does not extinguish the flame, it helps it burn longer. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine those questions as tiny stars drifting around you, slow, light, and bright. Some of them will become dreams, some will fade away. But perhaps, tomorrow morning, when you wake, one small seed will sprout in your mind and make you want to learn one more new thing about the world. That is how the universe speaks to us. Not with words, not with images, but with curiosity that never sleeps. Take a deep breath and let your body slowly merge with space. Everything you have just heard, the planets, the moons, the craft, and the grains of light, they are not only knowledge, they are the breath of the universe. And now, they are your breath as well. Since you began this journey, you have flown past the dark reaches of Pluto slipped along the delicate rings of Saturn, heard the sun sing with plasma waves, and seen the sleeping oceans beneath the ice of Europa and Enceladus. You have traveled through non-colliding orbits, through stones that make friends, through artificial eyes that observe space for us, and through mysteries still open, dreams yet unnamed. Now, as the night grows gentler, all sounds fall away, and only the universe remains, breathing with you. If you can listen long enough, you'll realize the universe isn't as loud as we imagine. It doesn't explode or thunder. It whispers. Each photon, each grain of dust, each breath of wind from Jupiter or the cold gusts on Triton, all are but small breaths within a vast symphony of existence. The entire solar system, in this moment, is turning softly and quietly. Each planet continues in its own rhythm, yet none loses its way, because between them runs an invisible thread that binds gravity, and between you and the world, there is such a thread as well consciousness. You may think you are small, just a creature living briefly for a few decades. But if you look from afar, you will see each breath you take is the extension of nuclear reactions in the sun, and every carbon atom in your body was forged in the core of a dead star. You are not merely living in the universe. You are part of it. Your body, your blood, your thoughts, all are made of stardust. When you exhale, those molecules dissolve into the air, carried by wind, by water, by time, and one day they may become the light of a new star. When you close your eyes, don't try to imagine anything. Just know that around you, billions of worlds are still turning, but nowhere else spins to the same rhythm as the place where you are lying now. All life, whether on Earth or within Europa's hidden seas, shares the same source of energy, the light that began at the sun, traveling for millions of years, only to touch the surface of your skin, before melting into the warmth within your chest. You are where the universe pauses to look at itself. Let your mind drift for a while. No need to think of the past or the future. Imagine yourself lying aboard a silent ship, floating among the stars. No engines, no sound, only a faint, steady pulse, like the heartbeat of the universe, beating within you. You pass by Saturn, its icy rings reflecting a pale light. You glide past Jupiter, hearing the swirling roar of its thick atmosphere. In the distance, the light of Mars filters through the glass, soft, red, and warm, like the breath of someone dreaming. Ahead, the Milky Way unfolds, not loud, not blinding, but soft, like a ribbon of light, wrapping around your mind, pulling you deeper until every sound dissolves. Now, you are no longer the observer. You have become a part of the symphony. Every motion of the universe, from the smallest particles to the largest stars, moves with you, merging into your sleep, as if all of space were lulling you with its own breath. If you feel a bit of warmth, it's the sun saying hello. If you feel stillness, it's gravity holding you close. If you feel peace, it's the universe smiling, because, in truth, the universe is not out there, it is within you. And as you begin to drift, gently, between sleep and space, let these final images remain. Light leaving the sun, crossing millions of years, passing through frozen planets and oceans, and finally, coming to rest upon your face, not to wake you, but to whisper, "You've come home." Sleep deeply amid stars that move in silence. May your dreams shine like the ancient light drifting through space. And when dawn arrives, remember, you've just traveled across the universe through your own sleep. You are still here, within a cosmos breathing slowly with you. Everything you've just heard, the planets, the moons, the stellar winds, and distant light, is not just knowledge. It is the heartbeat of the universe. And now, it beats within you, from the blazing sun to the sleeping oceans beneath the ice, from the tiny dust within Saturn's rings to the Voyager ships drifting beyond the solar system. Everything is still moving, slowly, steadily, like your own breath. You are not merely a listener to this story. You are part of it. Every atom in your body was once a particle of stardust, born in the heart of a star that died billions of years ago. The universe is not out there. It is within you, in every breath, every heartbeat, every ray of light falling softly upon your skin right now. Now, let your body dissolve a little. Let your mind drift, as if you were lying on a quiet ship, floating among the stars. No sound, only steady breathing and fading light. As you pass Jupiter and Saturn and the Milky Way, remember, every motion you feel is part of gravity's song, and you are one small note in it. Relax your eyes. Feel your heartbeat slow, then fade into the rhythm of the universe. If you feel warmth, it's the sun sending greetings. If you feel your heart grow lighter, it's gravity embracing you. If you feel calm, it's the universe smiling, because the universe has never truly left you. It only whispers softly, "Sleep now, you've come home." Moon, whisper, sleep. Science, the universe, and dreams without boundaries. Thank you for journeying through tonight with Moon Whisper Sleep. If these sounds have quieted your mind and brought peace to your heart, please leave a small sign, a like, a subscription, so that the stories yet to come can find their way back to you more easily. And so that others, searching for a bit of calm in the night, may also discover this place, a haven to rest beside you. In the nights ahead, we will continue to drift among the stars, listen to the whispers of the cosmos, and learn how to fall asleep in the light of all that is still unknown. Sleep deeply, and we'll meet again in a dream among the stars.